Hi, Kit Wertz with you, Flower Duet. Welcome to another flower class. This one's going to go together pretty quickly. We are just using a vase, small vase with it slightly rounded, it kind of comes gathered opening, nothing in it, clean. We're just going to add water, and then we're going to start our architecture with our greenery. So we are going to be working with some roses, some dried daisies, couple of Cymbidium orchids, some spray roses that are thorny, some beautiful antique colored carnations, and some eucalyptus. So let's start with our eucalyptus. So whenever you're putting anything in a vase, you want to make sure all the leaves that are on the stem that are going to be below the water line are removed. Always cut at an angle and always place within 10 seconds. As far as width, you want to go about 3 times the width of the vase. This is a little too wide. So we're going to cut that down. And we're going to make sure we're not getting leaves in that vase. So that's a little more comfortable. That's about 2 times the width of the vase. I'm a little more comfortable with that. We have this one, cutting, placing, and then I'm just going the opposite. Maybe not quite as long on the opposite side. So then I have this very much fuller piece. So I need to pull off those greens that are going to be below the water line. Kind of do a little height test, and I'm going to also come slightly to the side. I've got some leaves that are in that vase. It's been 10 seconds. A little too long. I was hoping I could keep some of those greenery on, but I'm going to have to take them off. So all I'm doing right now is I'm laying the stems on top of each other. So this one I'm going to cut here, remove these lower guys that would be in the water. Bad because that breaks down. Going over top. So it's a little too long still. And then I have this one, which I'm going to keep this as a Y. This is going to help me anchor, cut at an angle, place it right down the middle of my vase, get some of those stems to sit. This one I have also, going to end up having it like a Y. Take off any leaves that would be below the water line, like that. And lay it. So now I have a nice crisscrossy thing going on with my greenery. So now let's start adding some of my heavy stems. I have a nice pretty peachy colored rose here that's pretty full. So I'm going to have that kind of in the front there. Another one that's really full, I'm going to have that facing me. So I'm going to make kind of a 2-sided arrangement, so it's going to look good from that side, it's going to look good from this side. And I've got 5 roses. This one has must have had a water drop on it. So I'm going to dig down, peel that petal from the inside, and keep the outer petals intact if I can. So I've taken away the petal that started to get brown in the middle. I have another one here. So I'm protecting the other ones from rotting. If I take that out. You can remove the cushion petals. If they look pretty and you like them, keep them on. It'll help the rose live a little longer. But if they don't look great, then that'll just help the rose open faster. Take them off. I'll leave it up to you. You decide. Some debate about that now, whether you should take the petals off or not. So I'll let you decide. I'm going to have this one coming off to the side. And this one's really pretty. Got some pretty cushion petals on it. Removing any leaves that would go below the water line, and any leaves that aren't going to look that great in a couple days. They're just going to start to rot a little. I think I want this to come out. Up. Okay, got a little bit of a mess going on here, so I'm going to clean up my area so I can see what greenery I still have left. and I have a nice clean area. So when you're working, you know, creativity's messy, yes, but if you're trying to create, you want to get rid of anything that you're not using so you're not inhibiting yourself. Okay, so that looks pretty from that side, and this looks like pretty from this side, and I just want to make sure all my stems are still in the water and down low. So I've got my swoop kind of going. So again, I had 2 large roses that I did low, then I stepped up a slight, like a head above, and then I brought 1 off to the side. So now let's balance that with some of our carnations. Now if you're working with carnations, you cut not on the joint, you cut above the joint so it has all this space to drink the water. Okay, so we're going to counterbalance that heaviness on this side with these roses by having some of our carnations like that. And then we're going to do the same thing with 2 over here. So we'll bring our eye through the design. So 3 on that side and 2 on that side. So in the whole arrangement there are 5. So working in odds. Oh, I got a little bit of some greenery that's kind of eaten. So if you see any of that greenery that doesn't look so hot, just give it a haircut. You don't need to take the whole thing out and start with the new thing. Just take off the part that isn't looking so great. And that's what's so great about eucalyptus is you can trim the ends and it still looks great, like where you trimmed it. It's kind of natural that way. So we just have a few elements left to fill in. So we have some beautiful creamy pink, like a blush colored spray rose. I'm going to see if I can keep these intact. So I'm going to put 1 on, 1 there. Let's see, I have 2 here. Try this one off to the side if I can. This is where it gets tricky on stems. I don't want to displace another stem so the whole thing flips out. So I want to be very careful. And this sort of arrangement, I don't have any architecture. So this isn't something that I would then go take in a car and drive up a mountain for a wedding. This is very difficult to keep this intact. This is something you do in situ, like you're doing this in your house, or you maybe make this on site. If you have time, because once you've kind of got it in the bowl, it's hard to transport. And after all, flowers are a lot like people. Like once they are in where they need to be, they just want to sit down, have a rest, have a nice long drink of water. So think about your flowers as people. They don't like to move a lot. So let them just hang out. So I'm going to add another little spray rose pop there, and 1, I split that 1 into 2 pieces, got that going in the middle. So I have a little bit of a hole in the middle, so I still have some greenery left. This is working out almost perfectly. So I want to fill in that negative space with just some greenery. I'm not going to stuff this full of flowers. That would be silly. Remember, I started with greenery on the outside, so I need to bring that greenery back to the middle of the design so that it doesn't look weird. If you have it only in one place, like only in the base of your design, then something looks off balance. So make sure I get any greenery that I have left. These are short stems, so I need to make sure they get into the water. And then I do have 2 more things. I have my orchids and my dried daisies. I'm not sure I'm going to use my dried daisies, so let's see. I really like the look of this right now. It's really pretty and soft. So if I'm going to add another element, I'm going to have to go for it. So how do I add this little orchid that doesn't have a stem? You take a chenille stem, cut it in half, and the chenille wicks, meaning if I were to poke it into the bottom of this orchid, I could give it a fresh cut if I want, straight cut. Poke the chenille into the bottom. And now, if I put this into the water, what's going to happen is the water will go up into the flower. And if I want the orchid to be a little more open, I could try to bend them open, but if you force it, sometimes they'll crack, so you don't want to force it too much. So now I'm going to look where I need something to pop. So I've got that on that side. Remember, I said it's two-sided, so I have another orchid here. So I just used one chenille stem for 2 orchids, split it in half. So make sure I got it in there so that it can wick. And I could move this so that it's maybe more off to the side here. Like that. And then I have my preserved stems, which I'm not sure if I would need to cut them or not, but I do have a hole right here. So what I want to do, whoa, that thing just went flying. Maybe use a different kind of cutters for that. Don't use our nice cutters. Ta-da! So I've got my dried daisies there in the middle, kind of catch your eye on the one side, and my orchid on this side, and in my little sort of muted gold pebble bowl. No floral foam, no pin frogs, no chicken wire, no tape, just flowers.